You guys ever hear your skin's the largest organ in your body? It's pretty true. One could argue it's not an organ, it's a membrane, but it is, either way, the largest continuous sheath. Touch is the first sense we develop in utero. Did you guys know that? Before sight, before sound, the things you can logically think, well, an embryo should develop. Sight, be able to see, sense light coming in, maybe sound, to hear their mother's heartbeat and all that. It's touch. Touch is the first sense we develop. And the genetic layer, the embryonic layer that creates our brain and our spinal cord and all of our peripheral nerves also differentiates and produces and creates our skin. So it's more than just skin. All these accessory organs are a bunch of different kinds of sensory receptors located within. We got receptors that detect touch, deep pressure, cold, light pressure, heat, chemicals, chemoreceptors telling our brain we just put some lotion on that's got some CBD in it or whatever. We have special little muscles that pull on our hair when we get cold. Do you guys recall from your reading the names of those muscles? Erector pili. Teeny tiny little muscles. You have sebaceous glands, which produce what? Sebum. Oil! Oil. Which is not bad. The oil is meant to nourish your skin and actually clean it. Your chemical cocktail, the oil, the unique oil that you produce, has your own little colony of bacterium in it that helps to keep your skin clean and healthy and nourished. There are also sudoriferous glands located in your skin which produce sweat. Sweat glands. You have special sweat glands that once you reach puberty start to produce and secrete pheromones. Pheromones which communicate. It's a very primal way to communicate. It's not just to attract, it can also be to repel, communicate health.
Is that what they say teenagers, they be like, you smelling yourself? Is that, I don't think that's what it means. Like, you know, when they hit puberty,
they do stink.
They starting to smell themselves.
Your body starts producing it. It starts like now communicating with the world at a chemical level. I've not heard that phrase yet.
Yeah, I mean more like, you know, like the pheromones, like you feeling yourself. You know
but
how
you're
they
smelling
get,
yourself?
Like my son is kind of like a girl, like, you know, he's feeling himself these days.
I can see
it must be
I
the
love
pheromones.
It's all kinds of stuff's going crazy with teenagers. My son is a stinky boy. I'm like, Blade, you can plug in, pull. Go take a shower. Do you guys like the way your person smells? And I don't mean like their body spray, their cologne, perfume,
their sweat.
Yeah, their sweat.
Yeah.
Do you like the way they smell when they sweat? It's pheromones. That's what you're smelling. When somebody is sick and they sweat, they stink, right? It's a different kind of stink. So not only is their body trying to purge itself of whatever pathogens, you know, we're trying to excrete that, try to, you know, increase our body temperature to also combat that. Pheromones are being communicated that we are not in a state of good health. Stay away. So primarily we smell that and we're like, ugh. Because we don't want to get sick too. a membrane?
Thin sheet of at least 2 layers of tissue.
It's a sheet of at least 2 layers of tissue. And remember, what's an organ? 2 or more tissues come together, make an organ. So, your skin is unique. 2 or more layers of tissues come together. And as we said, there's 4 kinds, but 2 categories. So if you look at your table here on page 61, mucous, serous, synovial, and cutaneous, all are epithelial with the exception of synovial. And you can see, based on location alone, synovial is the one that's really deep in on the inside. Your serous membranes do surround your organs, but they do tend to sustain. We want them fresh. I don't want to say they sustain a good deal of damage, because hopefully they don't, because they're surrounding your organs. But a lot of friction develops there, and their job is help to prevent that from hurting your organs. So we just keep them fresh. Now, why wouldn't we want the same thing for our synovial membranes that go around our joints? There's a lot of movement at our synovial joints. Why wouldn't we just want to make new and keep it fresh? The rate at which we use and move our synovial joints, we need a really strong membrane that can sustain damage, that can resist it, that can resist the pulling and torsion that occurs at our joints. And when damage happens, it repairs itself and it keeps going. Your synovial membrane. This is a finger joint. Looks like the distal end of it. All synovial membranes, all synovial joints have a synovial membrane. So outside, we have the ligaments. We have this fibrous capsule that surrounds the whole thing. That itself is pretty avascular. That's not what the membrane is. On the inside, this yellow here, here's your synovial membrane. The fluid inside, synovial fluid. You might have a bursa in there as well. We're kind of surrounding it. Most often that is filled with synovial fluid as well. And then in a synovial joint, you got ligaments holding it together on the inside. You have articular or hyaline cartilage as well. We're packing a lot together to keep this joint healthy and freely moving. You can see there's vessels, these red marks coming in that show the vascularity. And see, notice it passes through this fibrous capsule, this joint capsule, to connect to the membrane inside. If you tear a synovial membrane, it will bleed. Has anybody had like any kind of like labral tear or anything in there? So Savannah had a labral tear in her left hip. It was almost a quarter torn. If you look at a clock, so from like noon to 3, that was torn. And so they did, they take pictures or whatever when they're doing what they're doing. No one got to look at them. And the surgeon was like, you see all this red? That doesn't need to happen. It was like, you've torn your membrane, you've torn the ligament, and it's bleeding all the time. It just keeps going because you just keep moving your leg. Mm-hmm. You gotta move your leg. You gotta walk. It's wild, but blood equals healing. Blood brings nourishment to the area so it can repair itself, takes away the bad stuff so your body can process it however. So So blood equals healing. So when we hurt ourselves, we do want blood to go to the area, but like in a controlled way.
So it doesn't clot. There's no clotting, it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm. It just kind of flushes itself out and brings it back in. It doesn't like usually fill with blood. That's an extreme situation. That's a lot of damage. Epithelial membranes, however, pretty avascular. So these would be your mucous membrane. So these line body cavities that open to your external environment. Your nose, your ears, even in your eyes a little bit, all along your respiratory tract. Everything below the waist that opens you to the outside world. It's all mucous membranes with all the same cells. There are specialized cells located in the mucous membrane, found nowhere else. They're known as goblet cells, and their job is to produce mucus. And a lovely way to remember that is goblets of mucus. How do you collect your mucus? In a goblet. Goblet cells. Next up, you have a serous membrane. And you can remember it's serious business because it's meant to protect your organs. These line body cavities that do not open to the outside world. There are often two layers, a parietal and a visceral layer. Your parietal layer is the outside one, and you think visceral is closer to the organ, the viscera itself. Have you ever heard somebody have like a visceral reaction to something? It's like a gut reaction. It's internal. It's your organs, of or pertaining to your organs. So parietal is the outside, visceral is the inside. And a lot of times when we get to certain body systems like the cardiovascular system, your parietal layer will also kind of merge with other fascial layers around it. Contained in between each layer is serous fluid. Its purpose is just like synovial fluid. It's to lubricate, to moisturize, keep friction from occurring, help to do a little bit of like impact absorption. You know, if you get hit or whatever, kind of disperses it through the fluid versus affecting your organs. Next, you have your cutaneous layer, or your skin. I mean, it's your body's covering. There are 3, arguably 4 layers of skin, because one of these layers is the basement membrane. Your epithelial layer, wherever it is, all these different epithelial membranes all attach to a basement membrane, which is essentially collagen. Your basement membrane is constructed of 3 to 4 different kinds of collagen interwoven together. And on the top layer that connects to the epithelial layer, specialized, collagen is protein, but other specialized protein molecules that are only found in the basement membrane called laminin. It's your glue. It is thanks to this laminin that your basement membrane can adhere to this epithelial membrane. And if it wasn't for laminin, this glue that holds us together, much like collagen, we would melt. And that's gross, but it's what happens. You guys know what scurvy is? A pirate disease? Do you know what causes scurvy? Vitamin C deficiency. That's all it is. We are one of 2 mammals in the world that do not produce vitamin C. We have to get it from an external source. So, you know, vitamin D, how do we produce it? In the sun. We go in the sun, and thanks to our skin, we make vitamin D. Yay, us. You know the only other mammal that doesn't produce vitamin C? Guinea pigs.